Translator, Reverie, Editor, Henyi. They concealed their traces and lay low for the entire following day. Though the number of beasts roaming this region was not great, each creature was frighteningly formidable, their strength beginning at the deity transformation tier, while heaven tier monsters appeared frequently as well. Because of this, the group could only circle around cautiously, taking long detours through the wilderness. Perhaps even shattering void tier existences lurked in the shadows, merely choosing not to reveal themselves for the time being. With constant hiding and winding paths, they made little progress throughout the day. The blazing sun eventually sank beneath the horizon, and the pale moon rose once more into the night sky. Everyone halted again to rest and reorganize their strength. "Ha ha! You caught it again!" Who Knew suddenly cried out in delight, her small hand snatching up the white and plump rat. The large white rat gazed pitifully at the crowd, its tiny eyes filled with grievance as if lamenting its own gluttony, wondering why it had once again wandered foolishly into a trap. Ling Han burst into hearty laughter and took the gold-seeking rat from Hu Nu's grasp. This time, he directly stored it within the Black Tower, then separated a thread of his divine sense and followed inside. Once the gold-seeking rat regained its freedom, it immediately fled in a flurry of panic, its tiny nose twitching as it sniffed about. Soon its greedy gaze fell upon the endless medicinal fields that stretched across the Black Tower. This creature naturally fed upon metal, and the more precious the metal it consumed, the stronger it could become. However, this particular one was somewhat different. It indeed devoured gold and various metals to strengthen itself, yet it was also an insatiable glutton that adored spirit medicine. Now it had even developed a fondness for grilled meat, chicken soup, and other delicacies. With such a vast sea of spirit herbs before it, it was ready to feast to its heart's content. Yet just as it scampered forward, it suddenly discovered that it had once again fallen into the hands of that human. "Fatty, you cannot escape from the palm of my hand," Ling Han said with a faint smile. He loosened his grip again and added calmly, "Go on, run again." The gold-seeking rat possessed astonishing resilience. The moment it was released, it bolted away once more. In its mind, it even resolved to devour everything within this place, leaving nothing behind so it could mock this human. However, after only a short while, it once again landed squarely in Ling Han's hand. The rat was bewildered. This human's speed was clearly slower than its own. Furthermore, it possessed the innate ability to burrow through the earth because it fed upon metal. Its teeth were incomparably sharp. Anything it bit would shatter. By carving a path through the ground with its fangs, it should have escaped smoothly. Escape again. This time it immediately dug downward, burrowing frantically in an attempt to flee through the earth. Yet after tunneling for at least 10 li, a human face abruptly appeared before it. If it wasn't that same man, then who could it be? This time it was truly terrified. Its tail snapped straight as its body froze. With a paw, it flipped over onto its back, exposing its large white belly to the sky as though it had been frightened to death. "I'm not some adorable creature like you. Did you think you could trick me with that?" Ling Han laughed loudly. He lifted the gold-seeking rat by its tail and said, "Stop playing dead. Look around. Such a vast place filled with spirit medicine planted everywhere, and all sorts of beasts whose meat is fresh and delicious." He paused briefly, then continued patiently. "How about it? As long as you follow me, I will provide spirit medicine and as much delicious meat as you desire." Gee! The fat rat immediately sprang back to life. Standing upright on its hind legs, it squeaked repeatedly at Ling Han as if bargaining over the terms. "I cannot understand what you're saying, but simply nod whether you're willing to follow me or not," Ling Han said, his voice carrying a devilish allure. The fat rat struggled for a moment, then finally clasped its small claws together in submission. "All right, from today onward, you belong to me. My rat, I should give you a name. Since you're so fat and resemble someone, it would be far too unreasonable not to take advantage of this chance to mock him," Ling Han thought to himself. Then he said aloud, "From now on, you are called Bai Duo Bao. Your nickname will be Fatty, or Small White." The gold-seeking rat squeaked in protest. It wasn't fat. This was what one called sensual. Ling Han carried the gold-seeking rat out with a smile and said, "This little fellow is now one of us. Its name is Bai Duo Bao, and its nicknames are Fatty and Small White. Jushuaner immediately burst into laughter. She knew Ling Han had done this purely out of mischievous bad taste, yet she could not help wondering what expression Ma Duobao would wear if he ever encountered this gold-seeking rat in the future. Brother Ling truly possesses astonishing fortune to obtain a treasure such as the gold-seeking rat. Wenren Qian exclaimed. After all, it had been attracted by Ling Han's food and caught by Hu Nu. Ling Han himself had subdued it, so how could she shamelessly request a share of the benefits? Ling Han smiled faintly. In this life, his luck was indeed extraordinary. Obtaining 3 mystical powers alone was proof of that. In truth, even in his previous life, his fortune had not been poor, since he had encountered the Black Tower. The level of that divine artifact was simply beyond comprehension. The gold-seeking rat climbed onto Ling Han's shoulder, squeaking and gesturing energetically. It meant that it had secretly eaten earlier, but had not had enough. Now it was time for it to eat its fill. Ling Han casually took out some food and fed this fatty. Hu Nu, however, could not conceal her greed. She stared intently at the gold-seeking rat, causing it to break out in cold sweat even as it ate. It felt as though something terrifying lurked inside this small human girl, leaving the adorable rat with psychological trauma and deeply wounding its fragile heart. It should be a young rat, the rabbit said. Why do you say that? Everyone asked. Hu Nu said, Yes, it has already grown so fat. It is perfectly fine to eat. It cannot be small. A mature gold-seeking rat would have golden fur. They only possess white fur when they are young, the rabbit explained. The gold-seeking rat's ability to locate rare metals is correlated with its age. The older it becomes, the higher the tier of metal it can find. So this truly was still a little fellow. No wonder it was so gluttonous and repeatedly fell into traps. It could not be helped, being young and ignorant. Zhu Xuan'er's maternal instincts immediately flared as she hugged the gold-seeking rat and said, I wonder where Small White's parents went to actually abandon such a tiny baby. Hu Nu drooled and said, More. There should be 2 more big ones. Nu is not craving at all. Ha ha, its parents may already be long dead, the rabbit said. Gold-seeking rats are extremely special creatures. They are born from spawn, and if the deposited egg does not encounter suitable conditions, it is not strange if it fails to hatch for 100 millennia or even 1,000 millennia. Hearing this dashed Hu Nu's hopes completely. Her dreams of tasting something new vanished at once. After eating and drinking their fill, everyone began to rest. Some quietly cultivated, expelling the fatigue accumulated during the day and preparing themselves for any battle that might erupt tomorrow. The gold-seeking rat truly was as foolishly adorable as expected. When it slept, its 4 feet pointed toward the sky, while a loud snoring sound echoed from its mouth. Unable to endure the noise, Ling Han threw it into the Black Tower. Only then did everyone finally gain some peace and quiet. On the second day, the group set out once more. Ling Han released the gold-seeking rat so it could search for rare metals. And truly, this fatty was no simple creature. In the span of a single day, it presented Ling Han with 3 pieces of rare metal. One belonged to the 4th tier, while the other 2 were 5th tier. Although none were extremely precious, they had all been obtained freely. Another night passed, and dawn arrived as usual. This was already the 4th day since they had entered this place. As they walked onward, a sharp cry suddenly pierced the sky. A dark cloud appeared overhead, rapidly spreading until it overshadowed them. Everyone lifted their heads and looked upward. Only then did they realize that it was not a dark cloud at all, but an enormous eagle. Its entire body was dark green and completely featherless, instead covered in scales resembling emerald armor, emitting a chilling aura of menace. Every strand of hair on their body stood on end, because this creature was a supreme existence at the Shattering Void tier. With a single glance, it could kill them hundreds of times over. Translator, Reviri, Editor Henyi. Fortunately, this emerald-feathered eagle paid no heed to insignificant figures like them. With a mighty sweep of its wings, it soared across the sky. Within its talons dangled a golden rhinoceros as vast as a small mountain, its body torn to shreds, blood streaming endlessly. This 8 treasures gold rhinoceros was in the heaven tier. The rhinoceros's golden blood rained down from the heavens, a catastrophe for every living creature beneath. That blood carried the baleful chi of a heaven-tier beast. Even elites of the deity transformation tier would be struck dead from the shock the moment they came into contact with it. Such blood was priceless medicine, yet at least 10 deity transformation tier elites working together were required to cleanse away the baleful chi before it could be safely collected. No matter whether it was Yao Huiyue, Jiaming, or Shu Shu Ran, if they encountered such a scene, they could only sigh and detour around it. But Ling Han was different, for he possessed the Heaven Transformation Bowl. He summoned this treasured vessel, and it drew in the golden rhinoceros's blood, refining it instantly and extracting only the purest essence. The medicinal power became even stronger, yet the baleful chi was completely removed. Even so, none of them dared to consume such a precious liquid. Even if it was not at the Shattering Void tier, it was still a high-level heaven tier treasure, and with their current cultivation, whoever swallowed it would explode on the spot. Even a Shattering Void tier beast has appeared, they exclaimed. This is a female eagle, and she might have just given birth to a brood of little eagles. If one could raise it, then its future would be awe-inspiring. The rabbit suddenly said. Everyone's eyes brightened at once. The tier of beasts depended largely upon bloodline, and since this green eagle had already reached the Shattering Void tier, its offspring would also have the potential to reach Shattering Void tier as long as it was nourished with sufficient nutrition. This was the greatest difference between humans and beasts. Yet in contrast, beasts were shackled by bloodline. If this green eagle wished to break through the Shattering Void tier and step into the divine realm, it would be almost impossible, unless it obtained some supreme precious medicine capable of shattering the shackles of its bloodline. Such a matter was too distant to consider. Yet merely raising a Shattering Void tier beast, just how astonishing would its value be? Grilled eagle legs! Hu Nu's thoughts were clearly wandering astray as her eyes began to sparkle. Ling Han shook his head and said, "Stop indulging in fantasies. The nest of a Shattering Void tier beast will be saturated with that green eagle's baleful chi. If we step inside, we'll be ground into dust before we even glimpse the eggs." Hearing this, the others could only shake their heads as well. Right, that was an existence of the Shattering Void tier. Who could possibly sneak into its nest? Let's go! They continued forward. After another 2 days passed, the rock spirit fully refined the heart of stone and advanced into the spiritual infant tier, and it had even reached high-level spiritual infant tier. This kind of worldly spirit was already formidable by nature. Within the same tier, it was difficult to find rivals, standing as a king among kings. With its current battle prowess, it could even contend with monstrous talents like Yao Huiyue. Ling Han felt immensely pleased. Now the rock spirit had once again become a qualified hatchet man. Meanwhile, the Black Tower could also produce a rare stone each month, meaning the rock spirit's rate of growth might even surpass his own, becoming increasingly formidable. At this moment, the vast expanse of land finally came to an end. Before them appeared an immensely boundless body of water. At the very least, even with the Eye of Truth activated, Ling Han could not see its far shore. At the meeting point between land and water, a strange medicinal plant was growing. It stood 15 meters tall and was entirely white. Its fruit resembled a corn cob, though many times larger. From that fruit drifted a faint fragrance that made anyone who inhaled it feel relaxed and joyous. However, Ling Han's group were not the only ones who had discovered this precious medicine. Many others had also arrived, such as Jia Ming, who stood at the side with his hands clasped behind his back, wearing a savage grin like that of a beast. Ling Han also spotted Yao Huiyue, who likewise stood alone. There was also the Rain Emperor and Mu Rongqing. They had each brought their own teams. In adventures like this, friendships were most easily forged, and of course just as easily shattered. Yuan Cheng, he was also present. He gave Ling Han a slight nod, clearly honoring his promise to acknowledge Ling Han as the boss. But what exactly was this precious medicine? Ling Han felt puzzled. In his former life, he had been the Alchemy Emperor. When it came to identifying spirit medicine, if he claimed second place, no one would dare claim first. Even many precious medicines long extinct were known to him through ancient illustrated records. Yet he had never seen nor heard of such a precious medicine. For now, everyone was restraining each other, and thus no fierce battle erupted. Furthermore, the precious medicine appeared to be several days away from full maturity, causing everyone to hold back their hands. Ling Han found this rather strange. This was indeed a remarkable precious medicine. The fragrance alone proved it was certainly a supreme treasure. But why had the Flame King and the elites of the five great sects not taken it when they passed by earlier? Even leaving a single person behind to guard it would have been worthwhile. Was there some hidden reason? Ling Han's expression turned thoughtful. In his previous life, he had explored far too many ancient ruins and faced countless dangers. Through such experiences, she had learned one principle clearly: never become obsessed with treasures. Treasures were certainly valuable, but they were often accompanied by dangers and traps. There were obviously many powerful beasts entrenched in this region, yet a precious medicine was openly growing here. Why was there not even a single beast guarding it? Precious medicines born of heaven and earth were often accompanied by beasts, and sometimes even came into existence because of them. Ling Han's intuition made him firmly believe that there was a very high probability this was a trap. He shared this suspicion with the Rain Emperor and Murong Qing, and summoned Yuan Changhe to his side, ordering him to obey his commands. Yuan Changhe was somewhat unwilling, yet he did not dare to disobey. After all, this fierce individual was the one who had slain the small Saber King. Everyone continued waiting for the moment when the precious medicine would truly mature. That moment would arrive within 2 or 3 days. More and more people arrived afterward. Among them were quite a few heaven-tier elites, causing the weaker cultivators to sigh bitterly. If they had known that such powerful figures would appear, they would never have waited so long and would have seized the precious medicine earlier. Even if it was not fully ripe, it would still have been better than nothing. 3 days later, there were already 7 heaven-tier elites present, and Ling Han's unease grew stronger, because during these past days he had not seen a single beast nearby. One must know that beasts possessed an extremely strong sense of territory. If there were no beasts here, it could only mean one thing. There was already a powerful beast occupying this place, causing all the other beasts to treat the area as forbidden ground and not dare step within it. The contest for the precious medicine finally began. 7 heaven-tier elites clashed fiercely in battle, and the terrifying shockwaves of their power forced everyone else to retreat again and again, unable to approach. At that very moment, the precious medicine trembled and vanished. Everyone stood stunned. Had this precious medicine grown legs, or had some bold and audacious figure seized the opportunity to steal it while the 7 heaven-tier elites were locked in combat? Hong, long, the earth began to tremble violently. Pa! A fissure suddenly split open, and spiderweb-like cracks rapidly spread in all directions, as though some terrifying existence was about to burst forth from beneath the earth.